Hey there, this is Seth, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to fill out a quitclaim deed and a warranty deed. And they're actually, in terms of what you actually have to fill out on these templates, it's pretty similar between both. There's just some different language baked into each document that kind of makes the function a little bit different. But as we dive into this, I first of all just want to lay it out and be clear. I am not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. All right. The purpose of this video is not to give you legal advice, and I'm not even necessarily saying that you should be using the same template that I'm using in this video. Just kind of take this as an example. These are the templates that I use in my state, but every state and every situation has some slight differences and variations to it. So don't necessarily take this as the gospel truth. Just take this as the example of how I fill out my deeds. If you're looking for the specific template that has the exact right language that meets your situation, there's a couple ways you can do that. First of all, you can go out and hire an attorney. That's certainly a viable way to do it, though it's going to cost you probably the most of any option out there. But that'll definitely get the job done. Another option is to go to a website like US Legal, and I've got a link right beneath this video. If you click on that link, it's going to take you to a page that displays all the 50 states in the US. All you got to do is click on the state in which the property is located, and then once you do that, you're going to find several different options that meet whatever your particular situation is. That's the way that I've done it for years. That's kind of how I started doing it, and I still use the same templates from US Legal that I bought years ago, and it's worked fine for me. So, but without further ado, let's jump into the actual tutorial, and I'll show you how to fill out these templates using my standard examples.
Before we get into this, I just want to explain right up front that a deed is a very, very, very important document. This is really the document that everything else revolves around when you're trying to, close a real estate transaction and buy or sell a piece of property. It's very important, but at the same time, it's usually not terribly complicated either. As you'll see here, the template that I'm using is just one page. That's a legal size sheet of paper. There's really not a ton, just some kind of boilerplate language on here. In this little tutorial, I'm actually going to be showing you how to fill out both a warranty deed and a quitclaim deed, because really a lot of the steps are almost identical. As far as filling out this section here and this section and this section, it's all kind of the same. The main difference has to do with this stuff here, and then also the title of the document, because I'll just explain to you in case you don't know. Both of these documents do indeed transfer real estate from one person or entity to another person or entity. However, with a warranty deed, the seller is actually giving the buyer their guarantee that the property is free and clear of any encumbrances, any liens, any significant title issues. In essence, they're saying that if anything goes wrong with the title of this property, or if you find out that the title actually wasn't clear, even though I said it was, you can come back and get me for it. And most people are comfortable doing that because when most people buy and sell properties, they're getting title insurance. A quitclaim deed is a little bit different, because when a seller signs a quitclaim deed and signs it over to the buyer, they're not really making any guarantees of any kind. They're just saying everything I own of this property, if anything, is now yours. So just for example, I could put together right now a quitclaim deed for the White House and sign that over to you. And the reason that's okay and I can do that is because I don't have to guarantee anything to anybody. Even if I own nothing of something, I can still use a quitclaim deed. So you can kind of get an idea for the differences between a quitclaim deed and a warranty deed, because with a quitclaim deed, you really don't have to stand behind anything, and with a warranty deed, you do have to stand behind it. So hopefully that gives you some context. Now, just to get started, we're going to show you how to fill out this warranty deed, and we're going to use a hypothetical buyer and seller. And yes, this is a fictitious scenario that I literally made up on the spot. Our seller is going to be Ryan Gosling, and our buyer is going to be Brad Pitt. And Ryan's going to be signing this just on his own behalf, as if he owns it in his own personal name. And Brad is going to be buying this in the name of his company, XYZ Properties, LLC. So we'll just get started here. We're going to take Ryan's name and his marital status, and we're going to put that right here. There we go. And then in this next part here, we're going to put his mailing address, which is fictitious as well. Put that right here. Now in this document, Ryan is called the grantor. That's because he's the seller. He's the person who is granting the property and conveying it to the buyer. So we'll go ahead and fill in Brad's information now. And because Brad is buying it in the name of his company, we don't have to worry about this marital status stuff, but we do have to talk about what state this company is from. So we're just going to call it a Louisiana Limited Liability Company. And then we'll put that address in here as well. And you'll notice that the buyer is referred to as the grantee because they're the ones receiving the property. And this particular property, we're going to use this example here. And this is an example that I pulled from Agent Pro 24/7. This is basically just a boilerplate template of what their property profile reports look like. And if you followed me for any length of time, you've probably heard me talk about Agent Pro 24/7 before. The reason I use it is because it's really inexpensive and very, very easy to work with. Basically, pretty much any property in the United States, you can pull up these property profile reports on them. And these things are awesome because they just give you all kinds of information and details about the property you're looking at. And really all we're concerned about for the purposes of creating this deed is getting this parcel number and this legal description right here, right after where it says abbreviated description. Because we're going to need that information to pull it out of here and paste it right here. So we'll put the legal description there, and we will get the parcel number and put that right above it, just like so. And just so you know, the legal description is probably the most important part of this entire document, because this right here is the literal legal description of what is being bought and sold. As you can see, this legal description is really, really short and simple. That's because the property itself that we're talking about is just this tiny little square lot. But believe me, I've seen legal descriptions that are paragraphs long, just very, very complex, complicated. And just so you know, if you get this legal description wrong, it's kind of a big problem because it essentially changes the property that you're talking about here, which is not a good thing. For this reason, I usually suggest that you double check this legal description. I mean, don't just take this here as the gospel truth, because it's just a very, very important thing that must be correct in any deed. So there's a couple different ways that you can verify this. One would be to actually open up the title search, and I've actually got a separate video on title searches if you ever want to see that. But really all you're looking for in your title search is what the actual prior legal description was. So I mean, as you can see in this example right here is the legal description. And if you go down to the previous deed from years earlier, here's a legal description again. So be sure to compare and contrast what you're seeing in the past versus what you're actually putting in your deed itself. And if what you're putting in your deed doesn't look anything like what you've seen in the past, then you're probably going to want to figure out what's going on there. Another way to verify it would be to actually go to your county's website and try to look up the property in their system and see if they've got any kind of a legal description. Legal descriptions can actually be very confusing to read. I mean, it took me years to figure out what I was looking at when I was reading these things, and I'm actually still learning, believe it or not. If you need help in this area as you're getting started, you can feel free to talk to either an attorney or a title company or anybody like that, because these people are experts at doing this kind of stuff, and they can definitely help you make sure that you're getting this right. Once that's complete, oh, I'm sorry, I actually got to fill out this part up here too. I almost forgot. In this case, the city is right here, city, state, and zip. So we'll put that in here. City of, and the county is San Diego. And the state is California. Okay, so now we've got the city, county, state, we've got the parcel number, got the legal description all in there. The next step is to put in the consideration amount, otherwise known as the purchase price. And just for kicks, we're going to say that this is being sold for $100, $100, $100.00. And believe it or not, I've actually bought and sold a lot of properties for about that amount. It's a whole nother story. You're also going to put it here in numerical figures like that. It just says the actual number, and then receipt of which is hereby acknowledged. And then this all here is just kind of boilerplate stuff. For the date, we're just going to put this first day of, we'll just call it July 2014. And then signed and sealed. And this is going to be the actual seller's name. So in this case, it's going to be Ryan Gosling. Fix that right there. And then down here, you would actually take this part to a notary, and that notary would actually have to witness Ryan signing this, and then they would fill out all of this stuff for him. If the seller ever isn't sure where exactly to find a notary, they can typically find a notary at any bank or credit union or title company or any place like that. So all they'd have to do is go there. And the purpose of a notary, just in case you didn't know, is basically just to act as proof that this actual person was the actual signer on this document, and it wasn't somebody who came in and just tried to forge the signature. So that's why that's important. And then down here at the very bottom, you actually have to say who prepared the document and then who the document should be sent back to after it's actually recorded at the county. Okay, now that's pretty much how you do the entire deed. We've got all the information plugged in there. The only notable difference that I think you'd probably want to be aware of as far as how you format this is if, for instance, we were to switch this around and Brad Pitt was actually the person selling it and Ryan was the person buying it, in that case, Brad would be signing this, but he'd be signing it on behalf of his company. And when you're doing that, this little signature block gets formatted a little bit differently. And let me show you exactly how that would look. It would look like this. Just like that. And then we're going to put by Brad Pitt, it's member, just like that. And then obviously all this stuff would be switched backwards, basically, so that XYZ Properties is listed first, and then Ryan Gosling is listed as the buyer, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. To fill out this quitclaim deed, it's honestly almost the exact same steps. It's just that it includes a little bit less information, and it's called a quitclaim deed, not a warranty deed, so there's no warranty being given. But, you know, the notary, all that stuff is the same. All this stuff down here is the same. It's just kind of different document with a lot of the same actions. And just so you know, these two documents here are actually what I use in the state of Michigan. And it's worth noting that every single state in the U.S. has some varying, you know, laws and statutes and regulations and all that about how you write deeds. So really what I would suggest, if you happen to be doing stuff in Michigan, then feel free to use this. However, if you're going to be doing something in any other state, probably the best resource I can share with you is this company here called US Legal. And all you got to do is go right here where it says real estate. And then down here where it says deed forms. And right here is going to show you all the different states in the country. And just for example, if we wanted to go to California, there are all kinds of different templates here. I mean, literally pretty much any scenario you can ever think of, whether it's, you know, husband or wife selling it to a corporation, or just look through it and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But all you got to do is, you know, find the state and whichever scenario you're working on, and you can click on that, and you can buy these things right here, and you can actually see a preview of them before you get them. So, I mean, if you just take a look at this here, I mean, as you can see, this template looks a little bit different than mine. I mean, there's some differences in formatting and all of that. I'm pretty sure some of the wording throughout here is going to be a little bit different, but for the most part, the actions that you have to take to fill it out are pretty much the same. There's just kind of some different wording throughout here based on the various laws and statutes and rules in California. So just for the record, it is actually extremely important to be working with the correct deed document that has the right wording and all that. If you want to make sure that you're working with the right thing, I would definitely suggest that you head over to US Legal, find the state, find the scenario that you're working with, you know, check out the preview and take a look at what you're going to be buying. And once you know you got the right thing, go ahead and buy it. And then the beauty is you can use that same template over and over and over and over again, as long as you're still working in that same state. So that's all for now. Hopefully you found that helpful. If you do want to get your hands on these exact templates that I just walked you through, you're more than welcome to come and get them on the blog. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you can actually click on the link in the notes below, and it'll take you right to the blog post where you can download not only these templates, but also, you know, purchase contracts, different disclosure statements, all kinds of stuff. Pretty much everything that you're going to need to close a cash real estate transaction in-house. And again, just to be clear, I am not an attorney, all right? So do not take this as legal advice. This is just the exact way that I create my deeds, which I've been doing for several years now, and it's been working fine for me. But definitely, before you start doing this stuff, make sure you run this documentation by a legal professional in your area who can actually give you advice on your exact situation. Do not take this stuff as the gospel truth. I just wanted to show you a very quick overview of how I do it in the way that works for me. So thanks again for checking out the video. I hope you found it helpful. And yeah, let's stay in touch. See you later.